Hello everyone and welcome back to another Satisfactory video. So today I'm actually very excited to finally be showing you guys this build. It is my nuclear power plant. So this nuclear power plant has 6 total reactors, and then it also produces no nuclear waste. So it's actually really cool, and I'm going to get to all of that in this video, but definitely hit that like and subscribe button if you do like this build, because this took 60 hours to build, but like all of this. So you can see that we have a lot of different buildings. I've already shown you guys a tour of this building here, which was producing the electromagnetic control rods, but now we also have more buildings that did pop up producing the other materials that we do need to actually run the nuclear power plant. And then the building over there is actually producing all the recycled materials that we will need, which I'm not going to be able to cover every single building in this video, so we're mainly going to focus on the nuclear power plant itself. Alright, so let's get right into it. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the exterior of the building, kind of show you guys some of the different building techniques that I used to make it. So the first thing that people usually noticed when I did post this on Reddit were these angled walls here. Now the reason why these are kind of cool is because what they're using is small concrete pillars, and then on about half a wall back we're using big concrete pillars, but it makes it feel like it has more depth to the build. It's not just very flat, I think is what I'm trying to say there. And then you can see it goes all the way up, and then we're going to get up to the second floor, which we will get into when we go onto the interior. But then below these angled roofs, what they're actually producing is the water extractors, is what's underneath. And then the next thing that you're going to notice is the big kind of circular wall here. Now this is the main entrance, so we will go into the inside there. Now this side of the building is just kind of 2 long windows, one on the first floor, one on the second, and then followed by another entrance. On the backside here, we actually have power banks. So this building is not symmetrical, so you can see the backside looks a lot different than it did on the front. But then another thing I just came up with, when I'm actually really happy with how these look, are these air conditioning units. Now, I don't see this a lot in builds because it's kind of a waste of material, but the reason why I added them here, the build to feel more realistic. And I feel like you always see air conditioners or air circulators on top of buildings. And so I added these on every single build, and I added more depending on the size of the build. Being that this is the nuclear power plant, I feel like there needs to be more cooling. So that's why I have an entire run of these air conditioning units up here. Again, it's a very small detail, but I think it does add a little bit to the aesthetics of how the overall build looks. Now over on this side, we have another entrance. You can see more raw materials coming in. And now we're back over on the other side by the road, back by the angled pieces and water extractors. All right, so let's go inside. So the first thing you see here is the nuclear power plant main entrance. So when you first walk in, the reason why it's called the main entrance is because it has kind of like the main feel and like grand entrance vibe when you first walk in, seeing all the way up to the ceiling, past the second floor. And then you see these signs here: welcome to the Fisset nuclear power plant, the particle accelerator, power plants 1 through 3, water extractors. Over on the right side we have the power banks, power plants 4 through 6, and the different manufacturers that we are going to be producing. All the different materials from every single building are going to be coming into this build and into the manufacturers, which is where we're going to start, because that's kind of where the start of the entire process comes in. But what you can see is you have 3 different manufacturers, and what they're producing are the, if we come in here, the uranium fuel rods. You can see here that we're running at 84% efficiency right now. And now most of this, it does run at 100% efficiency, but the problem is some of the different buildings do need a little more maintenance because some of the pipes fill up with fluid, and then it can stop some of the different, equipment running. Like it will stop running if everything gets filled on the, output side. So every now and then I have to go through and kind of check on some of that stuff. But then we're going to take these uranium fuel rods. They're all going to merge, because this one, what we need to do is this one's actually going to split both ways. So this one's going to go to the left or to the right, and then this one would go to the left, and then this one would go to the right to feed the other nuclear power plants on the respective size that they're feeding. If we keep going to the right, we can see the nuclear power plants. These are 4 through 6. So here you can see the uranium fuel rods getting ready to go into their respective nuclear power plants. So here you can see the water extractors to the right, and what you're actually seeing here is each nuclear power plant has 2 water extractors. Now one of them is overclocked to 180%. That way it produces the 300 water per minute that we do need for each reactor. And then what that's going to do is then feed up into these pipes, into these frames, and then into the reactor themselves. We have these small concrete beams to kind of just look like they're kind of supporting the roof a little bit. Then we're going to discharge all of the waste from each different reactor, and then they're going to sort into a back room. Now, the reason why they're going to a back room is I do want all the nuclear waste to be as far away from all of the walk paths as possible. Now, in some places you can't avoid that, but I tried my best to do that. So they kind of go into like a median area. If I get rid of this real quick, you can see, even though there's a lot of gas for some reason, or dust, they're going into this area back here to kind of be sorted, and yeah, all merged together, and then they're going to be split, and then one's going to go to the left for the particle accelerator, which we can hear spinning up, and then one's going to go to the right producing nitric acid, which we are filling up on nitric acid. So I'm going to dump this. So this is just one of the things. Pipes are the main issue that I'm running into with like having to have maintenance on everything, because they just fill up if something goes down just for a little bit of time. But then this one is producing the non-fissile or fossil uranium, which we're producing 60 per minute, which will then be fed into the particle accelerator along with some of the nuclear waste to then produce the pellets. Now the pellets actually can be sent over to our other build that will then recycle that into another material, so then we can actually just get rid of all the nuclear waste. So then over here we have the particle accelerator. You can see that we're producing the plutonium pellets. 18 per minute is what we're producing. Right now we're running at 78% efficiency. We're close to 100%. We might just get it. So yep, 200. So you can see here, for the most part, we are usually running at 200%. If we come through this door, you can hear the particle accelerator really speeding up and ramping up its noise. And now over here, we're back over kind of on the side of the grand entrance. So we have the water attractors for 1 through 3 in here, and now we're underneath those angled walls that I kind of showed you guys earlier. Why is it doing that? I got to look at that. It's come up these stairs. So let's say we wanted to access without being exposed to any of the nuclear waste or radiation. What we can actually do is come up to the top here and access our nuclear power plants, and then you actually can see how much power producing, and what efficiency they're running at as well. For some reason, even though they are running, like you can see, it's not showing the fuel in here, but then it also hasn't been showing the efficiency of the nuclear power plant. So it's been kind of weird. Like they're running, but it's like acting like they aren't running, and like they're not getting any different materials that they need to run. So it's kind of weird. So now we're back over here on the second floor of the main entrance. So you can see here, that's where we came in. And then if we just keep walking around the corner, now you can see that we're up top by the manufacturers. And then if we just come to the left by the staircase, come out, we're now in the manufacturer room, just up above the lights. And if we come through here, now we're actually right above the nuclear waste pit. And then if we keep coming up, now we can actually access the roof. Now this roof, what we can also do is access the top of the nuclear power plants. So if we climb up this, what you can see is now we can actually access this from the roof. We don't really ever need to, but this kind of aesthetically looks cool and kind of feels more realistic. We have these glass foundations kind of just acting as a sunlight, way for getting sunlight into that pit. That way we didn't have to add any lights down there. So then we can come back down, and then if we go back down the stairs, we can go down a half floor. So just kind of jump over the ledge. Now this actually allows us to access the back of the manufacturers. So if we didn't want to go into the room, we can access the machines from the back with again not being exposed to any radiation. And here you kind of see this, the overall pit, what it looks like, with all the nuclear waste kind of being sorted into that back storage room. So yeah, that's pretty much the entire facility, guys. I mean, I love how this build has turned out. It took so long to make, which is like the only downside to it. But overall, I mean, I love how this thing looks. It is super organized. It's probably the most aesthetically designed build I've ever made in this game, because like there's so much detail put into this build to kind of make it feel realistic. And my style is always trying to go for a more realistic approach to my builds and to my art style. So I really wanted to kind of approach that when making this, and then also just again making it 100% efficient. That was the other main thing, was making sure everything runs as efficient as possible with this build. Now here's the other cool thing. If you do want to download this build, head over to my Patreon. You can get the link from my description, but you can actually download this world. So this world and just this build, like all these buildings, took 60 hours to complete, if not more at this point. So it takes so much time to make these builds. So if you do want to support the channel, definitely head over to my Patreon. I do put all my world saves over there, so you can actually access these worlds for yourself and explore it for yourself instead of just in the video. So if there's something you wanted to see specifically, you know, you can access the world yourself. So yeah, definitely head over to my Patreon to do that. But then we're going to cover all these other buildings, probably not this one because it's super simple. I mean, maybe we can, but the recycling plant part of it, like we'll cover that in a future video, because we're just kind of out of time and the video is already pretty long as is, because this is such a big build that, you know, we just can't cover everything in one single video. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. It is greatly appreciated as always. Let me know what you guys thought of this build in the comments, because I really want to know what you guys think, and definitely head over to my Patreon if you want to explore the world for yourself. So bye bye, guys, and thank you very much for watching. It is greatly appreciated, and have a good one.